Kick control. Let's kick shout.
Hello and welcome to Franchise and Lows, covering TMNT on home consoles. Holy shit, it's going to be a bit of an epic one, I think. Mixed bag here, some really good stuff, some very poor stuff. I'd say airing towards the good, and a few really nice surprises I discovered as I was making the video. So yeah, pretty happy about that. Hope you enjoy it. Here's the rest of the Turtles games. Stick around at the end and I'll tell you about some other stuff. Okay, first we're going to have a look at the infamous Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1989 on the Nintendo NES. I say infamous because it's got a couple of levels that are widely known for being excessively difficult or just tricky in general. Thanks in some way to one of the first Angry Video Game Nerd videos, which I might add is hilarious and excellent. I think its reputation is slightly unfair because 9/10 of this game are honestly just really enjoyable. There's a lot of sort of tactical play involved in it because you need to alternate between the turtles as per their sort of running out of health, because it's very hard not to get hit in this game. It's very possible not to get hit, but it's very difficult, so it's quite likely you will take a lot of damage and you'll need to switch up to someone else until you find a pizza power-up, basically. There's a lot of mixing and matching, and that makes it feel to me a little bit, dare I say it, microcomputer-ish. It doesn't quite have the simplicity of what you'd expect from an NES game, and to me that's kind of a good thing. It's marrying this kind of Konami responsiveness with a game that's sort of a little bit more cerebral and interesting than it needs to be. It has its problems. The final segment is honestly, to me, absurdly difficult. There's just a corridor of complete death you have to traverse, and it's hideous, and I hate it, but you only have to do it once, and it is doable. It's just really unfair. The infamous, again, level where you're swimming is... it's honestly nothing. Like, it's really not difficult compared to almost anything else in the game, and I don't really understand why it's so hated. All you need is a little bit of patience. The time limit is completely reasonable, I think. But yeah, I think this is an underrated game, and I hate saying underrated, overrated. I suppose underrated is better than overrated, but it's a lot of fun to explore. There's a lot to, do. It's not easy, which is nice, and it's not too expensive either, I expect. So yeah, good stuff.
Turtles, count it off!
1990s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game. Pretty self-explanatory what that one's based on. It's the iconic Coin Up. It's a pretty decent port of it, but I hate to say it, I've never really cared much for that Coin Up. I mean, I know it predates the Simpsons one, but I never really saw this where there wasn't also the capacity to play, say, the Simpsons arcade or the X-Men arcade, which I preferred. And, you know, this is a fine coin-up game, but to me it's just not quite there in terms of interest, very simplistic. And, you know, this is a very simplistic game as well, but also, you know, it's an NES game, it supports 2 players, there's plenty of enemies on the screen without excessive flicker. All the features are there, the graphics are very strong, and no, it doesn't look quite like the coin-op, but no one could possibly reasonably have expected it to. It's got some clever colour choices to make up for the palettes being kind of sort of lacking. It's smooth, it's fast, it's good, it's alright. It's not my favourite. I don't find the level of design that interesting, but I cannot deny that it is a quality product. I can only imagine how popular it was back in the day. The only thing that really sours it at all is just the fact that its sequels were so much better. But no, it's good, it's fun, it's an enjoyable knockabout beat 'em up that just doesn't quite have long-term interest for me. But thankfully it's a stepping stone to a couple of superior games, not to say that this is in any way, you know, bad.
Turtles, count it off! Cowabunga!
Okay, next up from 1991, it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, The Manhattan Project, and this is a game that I have essentially, until recently, spent my life ignoring entirely because I assumed it was just more of 2. And to an extent that's true. It is another side-scrolling beat-em-up where you're fighting the foot most of the time, but it just so happens that with more moves, more enemy variety, more location variety, and sort of superior graphics, it turns out that this is a bit of a stonker. It's really, really, really good. The only real issue I have with it is it's maybe a touch almost too ambitious with how many sprites come on the screen, because there's a great deal of sprite flicker and sprites partially disappearing, especially in 2-player mode. You can see it happening in this video. But no, this is a really good little game, really diverse locations, diverse visuals. It must be one of the best looking NES games in general. It's like they took everything from the arcade game, and without having to adhere to the template of that existing game, they are able to go a little bit hog wild and have you know, a lot of fun with it. So what you've got here is a really creative, really kind of different little game with just enough challenge to be enjoyable without being frustrating, and it's also rather long for one of these games. It lasts a good hour and a half, roughly around that anyway, and that's fine, there's nothing wrong with that, but any sort of beat-em-up game like this can get repetitive the longer it goes on, so do keep an eye out for that. Like, this is a bit of a session if you're going to play it, so bring a friend to make things a bit breezier is my advice. Yeah, this is great. It's not Turtles in Time, obviously, but it's probably the best they could have done on the NES. It's an extremely impressive achievement, and I'm glad that I finally got round to bringing it into my life.
Turtles, count it off!
Oh boy, what can I say about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4? Turtles in Time from 1992 for the SNES. Now, I don't say this lightly because, you know, it's a controversial position, but best belt scroller ever, best side-scrolling beat-em-up ever made, it's in the contention. I mean, you know, Streets of Rage 2 is right there, the recent Streets of Rage 4 has really stepped it up. But this is balling. This is one hell of a game, start to finish. You are just constantly seeing new cool things, listening to cool music, and just brutalizing reams and reams of enemies with crowd control moves and like escape moves and desperation moves and tactics and strategy and just pure reflexes. I mean, who could forget the Shredder fight where you throw enemies into the screen to hit him as he's watching you through a viewfinder? Can I criticize anything about this game? Maybe there's not quite enough enemy variety. You spend almost the entire game fighting foot soldiers, and that's fine, that's normal, but while there's a lot of them, they are all basically just dudes in different, you know, pajamas, so perhaps a little bit more enemy variety would have been nice, but that's not really crucial, and it's really not a problem. I've played through this game so many times, and I genuinely absolutely never get sick of it. I think it's a staggering game. I think it's brilliant. I think if you haven't played it before, you're in for a huge treat. Yes, it's quite breezy and simplistic, but that's its strength, I think. It manages to work with that really well. So, Turtles in Time, banger, get it played now. If you don't, then you have to quit video games forever.
Turtles, count it off!
Also in 1992, released for the Mega Drive/Genesis, was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Hyper Stone Heist. Now, this is not a port of Turtles in Time. It is essentially, well, it feels just like more levels for Turtles in Time because you have what seem to be the same abilities. I enjoy Hyper Stone Heist. I think it's good. I think that the existence of Turtles in Time makes it almost completely accessory. An accessory is fine, it's still fun. It has the same enemy variety problem from Turtles in Time, and it's exacerbated by the fact that the levels themselves are a little bit flat. They're a little bit uninteresting. There's not a whole lot going on in them, but they are still lots of fun. This is a very fun game, and if you have a Mega Drive, I really quite highly recommend it. The problem is it seems to go for absurd prices now. I don't know why that is. The retro market's an absolute disgrace. Yeah, to Hyperstone Heist, I mean, we're talking about a 10 versus an 8 or 9 here. Turtles in Time is a 10 to me, and this is probably an 8. And that's still very high, it's just that it, you know, it's the same. I don't know if they came out at the same time or what, but it's the same and just slightly less good.
Turtles, count it off!
Turtle combat!
Round one. Fight!
Okay, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters. This came out for the SNES in 1993, the Mega Drive in 1993, and the NES in 1994, astonishingly. Let's take a look at all three versions quickly. The SNES version, I think, is the pretty clear leader of the pack here. It's really fun to play still to this day. It's got probably the best roster, it's got better graphics, smoother graphics, it feels right, it feels like this was the main version of the game, basically. That's not to say the Mega Drive version is necessarily terrible or anything, it's just that little bit more flat and a little bit less interesting, it has less good characters, the graphics are a little bit poor and muted compared to the SNES version. It's a shame, because I don't like to be pro SNES when the Mega Drive is right there. But the most interesting version of the lot, in my opinion, is the NES version, because for one thing, it came out in 1994, so it must be one of the last NES releases before homebrew stuff. I mean, maybe, I don't know exactly. But a fighting game on the NES in itself is pretty impressive, and having sprites that are nice and chunky and lots of different moves and stuff are pretty cool too. And there's a kind of customizable move thing which is fun. You can get power-ups, which is nice as well. It's a little bit more arcadey in that sense, but yeah, fascinating stuff. Not my cup of tea. I would rather play almost any fighting game than this, to be honest. But the fact that they managed to cram a whole fighting game into the NES somehow makes me want to give them credit for something. Don't know if they deserve it or not, but they're getting it.
Turtles, count it off!
Okay, so now we make a big jump to 2003 and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the PlayStation 2, GameCube, Xbox, and I believe PC. This is based on the second animated Turtles series, which was a 4Kids production, which may raise alarm bells, but it was actually very good. It was a more... It was not adult, it was still a children's program, but it was not a comedic take on the material. It was a little bit more in line with the original comics, which of course were parody, but Turtles sort of went beyond parody to become its own thing, its own universe. And the 2003 Turtles series is very fondly remembered for its seriousness. It's not super grim, dark, gritty, except when it needs to be, but it was serious and it was good. I guess more like Batman the Animated Series, you know, that sort of thing. Though of course the original 80s cartoon did adapt to that in the sense with what's called the Red Sky seasons, the last few seasons, where things got a little bit more serious and less silly. At any rate, This game reviewed like shit at the time. It was very poorly reviewed in the UK. So now I've played it before, and I remember not really feeling it, finding it quite boring and repetitive. And for whatever reason, when I replayed it for this video, I had a ball. I had a fantastic time playing this game. It is simplistic and it is repetitive, but everything just felt good to do. It was just fun. Like the move sets, as limited as they are, you sort of gain moves as you play through the game in a very linear fashion. But you know, you've got your strong attack, you've got your weak attack, you've got a launcher, and you've got a dash, which is the left trigger, which is kind of the crucial thing that makes it fun. You can get in and out of dodge really quickly. Because there are quite a lot of enemies on the screen usually, all coming for you. You've got to sort of, in a way, herd them. You need to make distance so you can plan how you're going to lay into them. But smashing the A button and repeatedly and knocking down like 8 or 9 mouses in one go just feels good. And with a second player, it would have been even more fun. So you know, as simplistic as this game is, yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I don't know if that's just because I'm, you know, a crazy person, but I just value games that are kind of simple like this. There's all sorts of, you've got, all 4 turtles are just like slightly distinct, but I don't know, I just don't even know how to explain how much I enjoyed it. The only thing I didn't like, and this may have been me maybe I didn't notice something, it seems to only save when you clear an episode, which is 5 stages, and they're not always short either. Well, they're not stages, sorry, there's a stage, and then there are multiple areas within that stage, and from what I could tell, the game didn't save between any of them until I beat the final one, the boss, which is a bit of an ask in the modern day. Not so much back then, but in the modern day it's a bit of an ask. So yeah, be aware of that. But yeah, this is tons of fun, just barreling through a bunch of enemies. Nothing to say that's bad about it. It looks nice as well, it's graphically pleasant. The budget seems kind of high on this, like there's a lot of new animation in there that's been done by I believe an anime studio, because it looks quite distinct from the rest of the clips. There's a lot of clips from the show in here as well. Lots of voices. Oh, that's a thing I can fault actually. There's not that many voice clips, and they repeat constantly, and like literally constantly, like Flame Hyanard in Mega Man X7 level of constantly. If you know what that is, you're crying right now. So that's probably the biggest problem with this game, is the fucking voices. And the okay, like here's one thing. Donatello's got a voice clip where he goes, "Let's play. Who's up for some stickball? I've got the stick, and you be the ball." And if another voice clip gets triggered while he's saying that, it cuts him off. So you just constantly hear, "Who wants some stickball? I'll be. Who wants to play some stickball? Who wants to play stick?" It's ridiculous. But no, this is a good game. This is really fun, and I hope people will give it a go based on this video. And I hope you won't be disappointed. I hope I'm not just crazy and giving this game an easy ride.
Turtle wax! Turtle wax! Turtles count it off!
The next year, in 2004, the game was followed by a sequel, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 Battle Nexus. Yeah, this one's not as good for me. Okay, this is... I don't like to bring up this criticism, because in retro gaming, I'd often put up with much worse than this, but the original game is 60 frames per second locked, and this is not. It's 30 all the time from what I could tell. Now, the problem with this one is, well, the game feels being compromised. Your attacks don't seem quite so smooth, quite so like you're flowing into them. They feel very stiff, and they're not fun for me, basically. As far as actual fundamental gameplay changes go, there's quite a bit more platforming. So the previous game had stuff to find, but there's more here. There's more platforming. You find these kind of air quotes antiques, and you take them to April O'Neil because she's got an antique shop for some reason. That was probably from the cartoon, I don't actually remember. And one of them that you find is the arcade game, the original Turtles arcade game, but with the music changed to be the music from the 2003 show. So it's quite compromised, to be honest. It's not the best way to play the game at all. Although until the new Cowabunga collection comes out, it's the only way, considering that they've delisted the port that was on the 360 and the PS3 of the arcade game. So nice going, guys. Anyway, no, Battle Nexus, it's not horrible, but it felt to me like a step down from the previous game.
That hit the spot. I feel a bit better already. Turtles, count it off!
Next year we had TMNT Mutant Melee for, again, GameCube, Xbox, etc. This is a sort of vaguely Power Stone-ish brawler game where you run around sort of relatively isometric arenas, twatting everyone with weapons that you pick up from boxes and things. Again, very poorly reviewed, and for whatever reason, I had fun with this. I had a good time with this. I don't actually think it's a good game, particularly. It's quite rubbish, and it's quite based on exploits. It has an adventure mode where you go through a bunch of levels doing various different sort of challenges. That's where I spent the lion's share of my time. You can play as a number of characters, quite a big roster that you unlock as you play through, and you've got to, most of the missions is just win the fight, but there's a few that are more like you've got to dispose of these bombs before the entire arena gets destroyed. You got to survive for 2 minutes, that sort of thing. But I did have fun despite the sort of apparent cheapness of it. It does seem very cheap. One thing I did like is every time you win in adventure mode in a battle, you unlock coins. You get tokens or coins, and you can use them in a feature called the library to unlock cool things. And now it's mostly just concept art, really, but like there are different sections, and one of them is comic books, and you can unlock like the whole first issue of the Mirage comic, or have a look at some of the Archie comics or whatever. It's very extensive. There's a section that lets you look at all the Playmates toys based on the 2003 series with a bunch of character bios and stuff. and really it's just a very exhaustive feature, and I enjoy unlocking things, so I had fun with that. Another thing that impressed me about this game was the dynamic sort of environments. They're not all like this, but there are stages that really do transform as you're playing them, like there's one taking place over sort of a pit of lava, and eventually all of the scenery will just collapse into it, and you have to make your way onwards as the rocks begin falling down and destroying the path that you're on while fighting. And it's just kind of cool and dynamic, and I think that Power Stone 2 had some stages like that, so that kind of stands to reason. Yeah, I thought this was alright. I think in multiplayer it would be more fun, but no one's going to want to play this in multiplayer when you can play anything else. You can play Smash, for example. But I enjoyed this. I think it's alright. I think considering that, you know, you're probably not going to pay that much for it, if anything, you cheeky pirate. It's a pretty decent time. No real complaints, but again, it's not exactly like it's an actual good game. It's a more, as I like to call it, a more video world sort of experience. So yeah, keep an eye out for this one.
Turtles, count it off!
The same year as Mutant Melee, the game Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Nightmare came out, and again it's similar to the first two, but they've I don't know how to describe it. They've made it all very mission based, and all the levels are feel very short as a result. It feels very cheap, like they don't have enough. I mean, it has your clips from the show, but it feels like they didn't really have enough money to do a good job with the presentation. So while it looks a little bit more refined than the first one, and the second one, I suppose, it's not an ideal situation. It doesn't feel too good to control the turtles again. And the worlds are very large, wide, and relatively empty. Enemies feel like they take a lot more hits before they go down, and you know, in general, it's just not super great, sadly. It's a bit of a shame. But that first one, man, still worth your time.
Turtles, count it off!
Choosing this jungle for your training was no coincidence, Leonardo. Legend says that a long time ago, ancient warlords ruled this land. Jumping is a basic ninja move, but jumping further sometimes requires extra effort.
Based on the CGI animated movie from 2007 and releasing in the same year, TMNT for GameCube, PlayStation, Xbox, Wii, Xbox 360, everything basically. It's a Ubisoft platformy, beat 'em uppy, Prince of Persia-y sort of thing. And yeah, after being very unpromising at the beginning, I had quite a lot of fun with this game, with the caveat. I hate that word. Is it caveat? Is it caveat? I don't know. With that, the caveat. Is it the caveat? It feels like it should be caveat. Anyway, whatever. Point is, you need to understand that this is a Ubisoft game, so it's prescribed as hell. Like, you do not have freedom. You have the illusion of freedom, of doing what you want, of having a flow to the combat, to the movement, but it's very much like climb wall, run along prescribed point of wall, run to next wall climb, jump to wall climb. And I'm not saying it's not fun and cool and stylish, because it is. It works. It is enjoyable. It follows the story of the movie very closely. There are coins to collect, there are upgrades to get, there are special things to unlock. It's a very full-featured game. You wouldn't feel shortchanged paying full price for it. It's good. I like it, but again, you've got to be aware of the nature of the actual thing. The parkour stuff is, as I said, it's very Prince of Persia. You'll do a lot of wall running and climbing and finding your way up enormous cliff faces and things like that. The combat feels a little bit like the combat from the Prince of Persia reboot, but I think it predates it, in that it's sort of, again, very prescribed. You're kind of locked into who and where you're fighting. I played the GameCube version. I assume the 360 version is the same, but with slightly nicer graphics or more bloom or something. And if I'm wrong, I apologise for being wrong. But yeah, I had fun. You may have fun also. It's probably better than the movie. But yeah, don't expect the world. Just expect a halfway decent licensed game, and that's what you'll get.
Dude, my nunchucks are all yours. Turtles, count it off!
I hope you've been practicing.
I'm ready for this.
3, 2, 1, go!
Okay, let's talk about missed opportunities. Okay, this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Smash Up. It's for the Wii. I think it came out on the PS2 as well. It's from 2009. It's not based on any specific Turtles continuity, but I would say it hews closest to the 2007 CGI movie. It's a Smash Brothers clone with Turtles, and that's sort of an inherently exciting, good idea for a game. The moment-to-moment combat is okay-ish. It's fine. It's better. It's worse than Smash Brothers, obviously, but it's probably better than something like PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale or Cartoon Network Punch Time Explosion. But yeah, this is not good enough, and it's probably the most open goal miss that I've ever seen in gaming history. Like, a Smash Brothers clone with Turtles characters. Think about all of the characters you've got at your disposal. You can have, obviously there's the Turtles, you've got April, you've got Casey, there's Triceratons, there's Fugitoid, there's Shredder, there's Krang, there's the Krang robot, there's Leatherhead, there's the Rat King, there's all sorts of characters, just loads. Slash, Metalhead, so many cool ideas for fan servicey characters, for fun characters you can have in the game. And Ubisoft sort of filled the roster with, like, crappy robots and, unbelievably, raving rabbits. I believe 3 or 4 of them padding out the roster, and yeah, as a result, you end up with a game where the best thing about it is the cutscenes that are comic book sort of interstitials that are in vaguely the style of the original Mirage Studios comics. But yeah, I just feel like if they had got a do-over at this, and they gave this to almost any studio other than Ubisoft, you'd be able to have a roster with like 50 frigging great characters in it, and 0 rabbits. That's all I'm saying. Just the fact that they couldn't have enough Turtles characters, of all things, to fill out a fighting game roster is like staggering to me. It's so stupid. So yeah, no, this isn't good. This is bad, and it's not just because of the rabbits thing. It's also boring. It might entertain you for a few hours if there was literally no other game available, but other than that, it's a big no from me.
Turtles, count it off!
This is April O'Neil reporting.
got you back!
This is 2009's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Turtles in Time ReShelled, what purports to be a remake of the arcade version of Turtles in Time. And you know, I can't take away from the fact that it is ostensibly a remake of that game. What I can do is assure you from the very depths of my heart that it doesn't feel anything like Turtles in Time. It's not anywhere near as good or polished as Turtles in Time, and the fact that it has taken the name of Turtles in Time in service of this dreck, this Ubisoft, but clearly farted out in a matter of, God, it's just a bad game. It just feels bad to control and play. It's just a boring button mashing slog. It sucks. The fact that it's a remake of one of my all-time favourite games, and it turned out to be this shit. It hurts my soul. Watching it back while I'm recording this, it hurts my soul. And you know, I wasn't able to play this game in readiness for this because I've played it before on my friend's 360 back when it came out, and I hope never to play it again for any reason. It's like being spit on. Dreadful fucking piece of shit. Sorry for swearing so much. I don't like to swear too much on this show, but sometimes you get a game like this. If you're watching this right now and you're thinking that looks fun, I promise you, genuinely from the absolute bowels of my arse, it's not fun at all. It's dreadful. It is tedious. It has no strategy to it. It has no fun factor to it. There's no impact to the hits or anything. The music's awful. Nothing that makes the SNES version good is in the game whatsoever. It's like it killed Turtles in Time and it's wearing its skin. Piece of shit.
Turtles, count it off! I'll handle these guys.
2013 saw the release of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows, which came out on Steam, Xbox 360, and I think PS3. I don't know why I said I think. It did come out on PS3 because I own it on PS3. It was ostensibly, I guess, an attempt to get some of that Arkham money. It's sort of vaguely similar to an Arkham game, but it was released as a downloadable, which is a bit odd because it seems to have fairly high production values and it doesn't look bad at all. Well, not in terms of its visuals, in terms of its aesthetic choices. I think it might have the worst looking turtles ever. They look disgusting, they look scary. They look worse than the Michael Bay ones, and I don't even mind the Michael Bay ones. You know, these are just not good looking turtles. This game, unfortunately, isn't a whole lot of fun. It's a sort of repetitive, dull, I don't even know how to describe it. You ever play the Watchmen games on the Xbox PC? Watchmen, the End is Nigh or something like that. It's a little bit like those in terms of just how bland it is. But in its favour, the title screen plays the Partners in Crime Turtles song, Turtle Power, you know. T-U-R-T-L-E power, T-U-R-T-L-E power, that one. In the half shell where the heroes for, in this day and age who could ask for more. That excellent record, it plays that, so as a result, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
I have this theory that there could be alternate worlds. Turtles count it off!
I'm just going to mention briefly that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games on the 3DS, which is the self-titled and Danger of the Ooze, as you know, both also came out on the 360. They're basically directly the same game, or though obviously the 360, then the 3DS version is a little bit more sort of the lo-fi cassette version. They're exactly as good as they were on the handhelds. Danger of the Ooze is still really good, and I still genuinely, heartily recommend it. You may not love it, but it is definitely a good, solid game. It is one of the better games in this list, so I do recommend giving it a go, either on 3DS or on here. There is a nice double pack available on 3DS called Master Splinter's Training Pack or some silly nonsense. So that's an easy way to get both games. Though if you really have to get both, I mean, this game is not... The original one isn't exactly enormously worth your time, to be honest. But, you know, it's there. It's a way to get two games pretty cheap.
Turtles count it off!
Okay, just to end things on a downer, here's 2016's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutants in Manhattan, which is a Platinum developed game, which becomes obvious as soon as you begin playing it, because there are way too many mechanics. It's really confusing, and it's not particularly fun. Sorry for being a hot take guy, but I'm not really that keen on Platinum's approach to making games. So, one thing that is cool, was cool I should say, was the online play with all four turtles kind of teaming up in a brawling sort of way, with signature Platinum-ish combat, including, you know, last minute dodges and turtle time, instead of witch time I guess you could call it. The turtles look like shit again. There's nothing really inspired about it. There's a big, you know, Manhattan to run around in, but there's nothing worth finding in it, and it's just really not very good. The closest thing I could point it to would be that game Transformers Devastation, which some people swear by, but I think they're just being, I don't know, I think they're just being basic, to be honest, because it's Platinum. It wasn't a good game, and neither is this, although the Transformers game was probably better. Maybe if you really like Transformers it was, you know, a better game, but no, I don't really like Transformers. Then again, I did like the High Moon games, War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron, or whatever they were called. Anyway, yeah, this sucks, it's really bad. There hasn't been a TMNT game since this, I don't think, but there is about to be Shredder's Revenge coming this year at some point, and God, it just looks absolutely fucking excellent, doesn't it? Doesn't it look amazing? Looks like they've absolutely nailed it to the wall. I really hope that it delivers on the way it appears to deliver. And, you know, the Cowabunga collection, the whole reason I did these videos at all, I hope that delivers too, although I'm quite certain that it will, given that it's being made by Digital Eclipse, who are pretty much flawless as far as I'm concerned. I want them to make every retro compilation. They've done such a good job with Disney, with the, you know, Aladdin and the Lion King pack, which they updated with Jungle Book and SNES Aladdin. The Blizzard collection, they did a great job with that. The Samurai Showdown collection, they're just generally excellent. So the Cowabunga collection should be great, and the new game Shredder's Revenge, God, I hope it's good. Christ. Thanks for watching another Franchise and Lows. I'm sorry it took me literally like a year to get the second part of this video done. I've been untold busy. I can't even tell you really how busy I've been, and I mean I literally can't tell you, for legal reasons why I've been so busy, which sort of sucks, but at the same time is really cool and exciting. So you'll find out why I've been so busy soon-ish. I've got a lot of new freelance work. I lost one of my main sources of income, sadly. Won't get into that, but as a result, I've picked up some more, which I hope will be persistent. I've got some more magazine work coming up as well, which is exciting. I've got a new thing coming for Retro Gamer, hopefully. Hope it doesn't fall through. I've joined the... Oh wait, I'm not supposed to announce that either. Oh, nearly announced something I shouldn't just then. Bloody hell. Yeah, this is getting fraught. I keep nearly saying stuff I'm not allowed to say. So, yeah, I'm just going to end it before I make mistakes. That sounds like I'm doing it on purpose to be a tease. I'm really not. I'm just stupid. Alright, thanks for watching. More videos soon, I pinky promise.